And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Chair Across the Aisle, the podcast where we just get into real conversation with real people and real stories and meaningful conversation at that. And I'm with Kate Assaraf, the founder and the CEO, right, and the owner
Mhm.
of Dip, a company that has bypassed every norm. We have seen corporate America hostily take over every small business out there, and Amazon being one of those that have just consumed everything. I can't even book a haircut without going through a national booking service now with my local barber. And so here's Kate. She's beating back the system in an incredible way. It's a great product. It's environmentally friendly. It's literally you walk into a store and you meet the owner and she tells you about the product, the fact that it's environmentally friendly, and you developed all this, including the distribution center. So
Yeah,
jump right in and tell us all about it.
sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Assaraf. I've been here before, and it's my pleasure to be back. And I own Dip Sustainable Hair Care, and really, it's beyond hair care. My mission is bigger than shampoo and conditioner. Yes, it's plastic free. Yes, it's great, and we've sold a ton by just word of mouth and no ads. But what's really important about what we're doing is we're trying to reinvigorate the excitement for local shopping and protecting your local economies and the local store owners on your main street. And so, not only is it sustainable in protecting the earth, but the most important part about what we're doing is redirecting money back into your community and making sure that the people who are giving real vetted solutions that get you away from plastic and protect your health, giving them a voice and giving them traction.
And tell us about the health aspect too. When you just
Yeah.
use these basic shelf products on every department, on every big box store, it's not good for you either, right?
So they can be, and but to be honest, I for my own family, I wouldn't trust a lot of the stuff that's sold on shelves. And that's me as a mother being hyper protective of my children and also my own health and my husband's health. I even if there was any inkling of any of these products destroying or creating a health issue for myself or my family. I don't want it. And so I built Dip with that in mind. I wanted to clean up the formulas, make sure that they were as clean as possible and yet still effective, and that they just saved money for people. But the real issue is the plastic. More than anything is the plastic.
Right. And I remember when I was a kid, we went to plastics because that was supposedly the environmentally friendly
Mhm.
option. And then everything kind of the tables turned, and now we realize the plastics. I remember plastic bags save trees, and then I
Yes.
realized. Then they said plastic bags in these landfills never biodegrade, so we're destroying the
Mhm.
environment. So let's go back to paper bags, which is
Yeah.
essentially a
I
better option.
I had a younger person reach out to me recently and they wanted to talk about what sustainability means. And I was like, what you have to understand is sustainability changes over time. It's not a rigid set of rules. When I was young growing up, I watched that transition all in the name of deforestation, right? We switched from the paper bag to the plastic bag. We're like, this is the better solution. This is going to save the trees. And now we're finding out that that's not the perfect solution. And I was explaining to them about how scared I was as a kid about acid rain and the ozone layer. And like those, of course, we've changed products to accommodate those fears and really mitigate the damages and the ozone started to repair. So I mean, there the the things that are concerns at this moment in time are going to change all the time. And I think that's kind of something that we don't really talk about in sustainability that, today's okay or today's standard is going to be different than yesterday's and the futures.
Absolutely. And things always change. And
Yeah.
when they change, often they're changing the narrative, really. They're not really the real technical parts, they know the truth. When they
Yeah.
change the narrative, it's for corporate benefit. It's for big business
Yes.
benefit. That's why they do what they do. We were talking briefly, it's like war. the reason Vietnam War was so unpopular is because it was the first time war was televised. So now
Right.
they change the narrative. They make
Mhm.
it look popular. They make it look like they gamify it. They make it look like a
Yeah.
video game. And it's so not to get deep into that at all. We already agreed on that.
Yeah.
But but your business is so I think of your business and I'm reading about how you even fund build out sometimes. And my mom lives in the Villages, Florida. It's like the world's biggest retirement community. It's like a 80-year-old high school.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's really weird. But you do have Main Street shops, and I would think that store would have great success in that area where these elderly people actually go have lunch and then go to your store and get their beauty products. And there's a lot of not just elderly people. You talked about the young people, the tear-free curls. It gets the curls out, and my kids are swimmers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk about that too. Like, how would somebody get a hold of Kate and say, "I want to open the store in the Villages, Florida"? It's like a retirement community of probably 100,000 people at this point, if not
Oh,
bigger.
man.
It's in
Yeah.
Ocala. It's far north of me, but it's really pretty neat. I'm not a fan of all the residents, but as far as the idea of itself,
I don't know. When I'm in my 80s, I hope I go back to this high school environment.
it's a nice environment for
It
them. They have
does
fun. They
look
have
pretty
like
fun.
groups. It is. It's great for my mom, and I love visiting her. I just sometimes I ask her that it's just me and her, not so many of our friends around, because they.
How cool is it so many old people are lonely? How cool is it that she has so many friends? You have to kind of get them out of the way.
It's true though. That she does not have a boring day. She's always playing poker or doing something, or it's always
Yeah.
pretty neat.
That's pretty cool. Well, if someone wanted to stock dip or open a store and have dip on the shelves, the first thing that they would do is just go to our website, dipalready.com, and there's a wholesale kit on there, a reach out form, and we send everyone a free set of samples just because I think it's very hard to sell dip without the person who's behind the counter really knowing whether it works and whether it's great for them or not. But just whoever it is that's opening that store can know even further that the bigger layer of it is that we don't undercut their prices online. So we're not constantly running sales and making it impossible for these independent retailers to succeed. Where we make sure that because we're not on Amazon, you don't have 24 hours a day competition all day. When someone wants to shop and buy dip, they have to come during your store hours. And I know in a marketing sense, that's very like inconvenient for the consumer, but I think it's important for people to understand like where you spend your money matters. It matters so much. And if you're only spending your money on Amazon and you're only spending your money on these offshore businesses, you're essentially taking money away from where it matters, where you live.
And that's a great point. So the person opens a store,
Hmm.
and they're spending their money in their community. They're also employing their community. And
Yeah.
they're also breaking that mold of big business consuming everything that we when I was younger, I had small businesses. All I really had to do was advertise in the yellow pages and I would
Yeah.
get a lot of calls.
Yeah.
And then nowadays it's really hard to even advertise because the advertising there's 1,000 different options. They're all really expensive. Google can be as much as $4 a click, but
That's
you're
crazy.
breaking that mold. You're
Yeah.
saying, hey, come to my store, make it a fun part of your day. Park your golf cart. That's the villagers. Everybody has golf carts. Park your golf cart, come to my store, and make it a fun part of your day. And I just love that. I really do absolutely love
And
that because go ahead.
I was gonna say shopping was a social sport. There was, for many women throughout most of human history, like commerce was something that you didn't do alone. You weren't isolated in a place to just add to cart. It was like a social thing. I mean, when I was growing up, people went to the malls and you didn't even have to buy anything. It was just kind of the action of being out with someone, that you were close with and, just looking at things. And I think that that was a nice part of being human, and I think that there's this face-to-face accountability when you buy something from a person at a counter. Whereas when you buy something online, I think you can probably stop 100 people on the street and say, "Hey, did you buy something online that you read every review for, you got it in the mail, and then you opened it and it was not as expected?" Like you could ask anyone that, and then ask those same people hey, was it impossible to return this? Was it super difficult to get a human or the business to be accountable or to get a refund? And a lot of people have that experience. And I think that experience is so dehumanizing as a customer, right? Like it turns a customer into a consumer instead of what we are, is like we're human beings that are trying to have commerce with others. And this human piece of shopping has kind of floated away and eroded without us even noticing. And I think it's time to bring it back. I think the only place you can trust is face to face and having like real accountability with the person you purchased from.
Yeah, I think that really is that used to be the thing, really. It was just
Yeah.
what you said. It used to be you used to go to Macy's and go to 19 different counters,
Hmm.
and you had face-to-face contact with everybody. And there was pretty ladies showing you perfume, and it was fun to talk to them,
It was
or
fun.
spraying it on their hand and saying, or spraying it on your hand. And it was fun to be. Now you just got to guess. You just got to
Yeah,
assume that it's great, and then, and like you said, then click. And if you do go through the return process, more than likely you're just going to leave it on your bathroom counter and just never
hmm,
use it. But if you do go through the
yeah,
refund process, it's going to be a drag, and then you probably the next time you won't. I mean, in the end, they're going to beat you down. In the end, they're
I
going to.
know.
But
I don't think it was supposed to be like that. I don't think the human experience was supposed to be like that. And commerce is one of those things. It's I mean, we don't barter. We like it's everything we have in our lives is purchased. And I think that there's something very sad about everyone siloed in their own homes or apartments, just adding stuff to cart and, not encountering a soul and just having it show up. It doesn't mean I'm saying never shop online. Of course, that would be ridiculous, a ridiculous thing to say. But if you could just find a few things that you like to buy in person, it would be really, beyond just the human to human accountability piece of it. It's also just nice to know that you're funding, your town's taxes. Those businesses pay a significant amount of taxes in your town and make your town or where you've chosen to live beautiful.
yeah, and you were voted Mompreneur of the Year, which I just love
Mhm.
this from Ford's council member. Okay, this is great. So now let's talk about moms. You're a mom, you open a small business. It's no longer a small business, but every mom has this option now, getting back into the work world and being a mompreneur, just
Yeah.
not working in an office behind. She has this option now of owning a store, of talking to customers, of being as passionate as you, of telling other moms your daughter will love this shampoo after
Mhm.
swimming, and it's got to be a great feeling to have that life and to have that business and to have that sense of mission in your life, whether you're the proprietor of the entire operation of the
Yeah.
entire and do you promote that at all? How do you get new owners out there?
So a lot of the store owners are in the eco stores specifically that are educating communities about sustainable swaps. They're predominantly women, but what is so cool about them is they come from all different uh, you know, work histories. So a lot of them are mothers. It's the reason they're so drawn to sustainability because they realize that the planet that we have is for their children. So that's step one. But the other thing is that some of them have left corporate America, like very intense, high-paying jobs to build this mission of getting opening a zero waste store. Like some of them there's so many young women that are, come right out of high school and open one of these stores. There's all different types in between, and it is so incredibly amazing and kind of rock and roll to see women opening actual brick and mortar stores in a time of like the hyper consumerism that Amazon and a lot of these businesses and big boxes promote.
Yeah, and that's great because moms are doing it. I just love that
Yeah.
that you were. I didn't even know there was a mompreneur until I was reading. But moms are doing it, and
Yeah.
that's great because it really changes everything. Because kids are now going to learn from their moms, whether they open your store or whether they just learn how to run a small business, and that
Mhm.
could change a lot. When it can change a lot of, it can affect a lot of our economy and kind of pull back on that whole idea of big business is everything because it's really not. And I grew up in a time where it really wasn't. Like I said, I had a small
Yeah.
business. I would hand out business cards, and now that's just no longer an option. But so, the other thing I want to say is, um, hang on one second. Let me go back to my notes. S- Um, Do you fund the build outs or do you help them with small
No,
business operation loans?
no, so the stores aren't dip owned stores. They're independent, and so that entrepreneur that opens a zero waste store or refillery, they do it all themselves, and I will do whatever I can to get people into that store as a brand. So they're independently owned, and what's amazing is to see kind of the different ways women design their stores and the different ways that they curate sustainable products. But what we do is make sure that we get people in the doors for them. And so when they come to buy dip, generally the behavior is that they start to explore other sustainable swaps that get them excited and get them purchasing more.
Right, and what? Tell me something about the sustainable swaps. Not just shampoo. There's also the. Tell me all about the products. Really,
Oh
jump
man,
right
there's
in.
so many different things that people can refill. So one of the two biggest volume drivers are probably laundry detergent. So you can take your big jug of laundry detergent of Tide or whatever you've purchased before, and if you want to switch to a cleaner option, you just bring that empty laundry jug to a refillery and refill it with less toxic laundry detergent. You if you want like hand soap, that's another thing. Those are the two things in the household that families kind of go through very quickly. But my refillery by my house has spices. So if you only need like a little bit of I don't know, paprika or smoked Hungarian paprika for your recipe. You don't need to buy a whole thing of it. You can just get what you need in a little jar, and you save a ton of money because a lot of times with spices, you're paying for the glass jar and the shipping of the glass jar, not the spice inside. And when you go to a
Right.
refiller, you're paying by weight. So you can either spend like $9 on a glass jar or like 35 cents on what you need. So there's that. I mean, really also there's because the type of stores are so different across the country. Uh, they sell different things. Like mine has pasta, so I don't actually have to buy like pasta that has the plastic window on the box anymore. I just refill what I need. Olive oil, balsamic vinegar, like there's bubble bath. There's so many things that you can
Wow.
refill. So I mean, it's it's kind of amazing that when you start to think this way and you start to refill your goods, you realize that so often you're buying packaging, which is essentially buying your garbage. You're
Right.
paying for the garbage. And that's when you start to reframe it that way and think like, oh my God, I've been buying, glass jar after glass jar, plastic jug after plastic jug. I'm actually, and that thing, may or may not get recycled. You've been spending a lot of money on the component.
So the more we get into this thinking, the more these stores open all around the country, the more we're going to actually change the environmental aspect, like we said before,
Yeah.
right? And you have this industry. You had an enormous amount of industry experience before opening this business. Where was your industry experience was in cosmetics, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I did it all different, I wore all different hats. So I worked on brand strategy, I worked in formulation, I worked in the marketing, even on direct response like TV, where you would see, like a QVC style beauty selling. I worked behind the scenes in that as well. And so I've pretty much worked in every piece of beauty. And the funny thing about beauty, and essentially I started my career in the early 2000s. It's just never been that honest, and it's never been working behind the scenes in marketing, especially. You see how dishonest and predatory a lot of beauty marketing is. And so with my company, I tried to not do that at all. Like I tried to turn the industry marketing on its head and see if it worked. And it turns out more people kind of are very responsive to more authentic marketing than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah, it went really well right from the beginning,
Yeah.
right? It went
Yeah.
really, really well right from the beginning. And you had all that corporate experience, and you could have easily turned that
Mhm.
into an enormous career, which you've done, doing going in the other direction, opening
Yeah.
this business and creating this real integrity filled option. And
Yeah.
and
And the
that
the
go
thing
ahead.
is that because I'm a mother, I don't want to have a business that's so big I can't spend time with my children and my family. So I keep my business, I don't need to scale it to oblivion to prove a point to others. I keep it manageable so that I can have I mean, what's the point of having anything if you can't spend time with your family? So
Right.
I am fine with selling less. I'm fine with keeping it, small, like big enough to make an impact. I mean, we've redirected over $5 million to local economies all around the country, but like small enough that I don't run myself or my employees ragged because I have a whole team and a warehouse and a factory now, and I want them to be able to spend time with their families. All that's really important.
Yeah, that's incredible. How many employees do you have now? I think it was like 30, right?
No, no, no. We only have seven, so
Seven.
it's a
Seven. I
nice
made
like
a note of.
it's a really really um nice group of people. Some of them have been with me since the very, very beginning. One of the people on the team came over from the refill community. She had one of the most successful refill stores in the country, and she had to move. She had to just geographically move from where that shop was, and so she couldn't run it anymore. So she came to work for the dip team, and she's one of the best things that ever happened to my company. So, I mean, I really, I really, really am nothing without my team, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel that way. So, especially, I don't know, anyone in sustainability, like no one does anything alone.
Anyone that goes to work every day, when they enjoy something as much as it,
Mhm.
you can just see it in your eyes, you can just
Yeah.
hear it in your voice. When you enjoy something as much as you enjoy it, just like you said, you just leave it behind and you
Mhm.
go enjoy your family. It's not consuming you. You're not going to get a
Right.
phone call, I need you in Ohio today.
No. And you know what? I'm very, very, it took me a long time to learn. So it didn't come in the like in the beginning, I took myself a little too seriously, but then eventually it comes, it's like, okay, like I'm selling shampoo and conditioner. It's like nothing is an emergency. Like there's no, for in other industries, of course there are emergencies, but for me, it's not that serious. But a lot of people and especially entrepreneurs kind of put that pressure on themselves to think that everything is so serious all the time. And I kind of, it took me a while to untangle that way of thinking myself because I think it is kind of forced into you, this hustle culture or whatever when I was, first starting my career.
Well, it really very much is because I've been in the restaurant business. That's really
Oh,
my
yeah.
background. And I work with people that are just that. Like, let's walk and talk. And I'm like, hang on, let's just sit for a minute because we're not vaccinating children. And we can't just go over this real briefly and carry on in a
Yeah.
normal way. But that is it's this sense of inner peace you have. It's like you don't go to work feeling like you're going to get a ton of bricks dropped on your head the minute you walk in the door. And from then on, you're going to be walking through those bricks the rest of the
Yeah.
day. I mean, that's a great feeling of inner peace.
But I could have that feeling if I decided to scale my company through Target or through Ulta or Sephora or even Amazon, where the demand on your time and the deadlines are so urgent that you can't relax. We just had an issue where shampoo ingredient was, I think, almost 4 months late. And so we couldn't make any shampoo. So we had to just kind of slow down our sales. But if that had happened and I had like a Target deadline or a Walmart deadline for my stuff, I would have been out of business. It would have killed me. But I was able to, maneuver and stay agile because we were smaller and because, we were able to communicate with these small store owners on a human level and be like, hey, we can partially ship your order, and as soon as that shampoo ingredient comes, which it did eventually, like we'll ship the shampoo out as fast as possible. So, I mean, there's something like really nice and kind of beautiful about having a smaller business that I think gets lost when you are in that mindset of like grow at the expense of my peace all the time.
Right. And the owners have that same communication option. They tell their
Yeah,
customers, sorry, and they explain it to them on a personal
yeah,
level. It's not an email. It's not
right.
a And it's really how it was intended to be, just like you said before. It's really
Yeah.
how it was intended to be. What's changed over time is just that the Targets and the Walmarts and the Amazons have taken on everything. They've consumed it into an algorithm, and then they've it's just too much, and it's really not going well for any of them. But we're all kind of stuck in this rut of having to deal with them.
Yeah. And
But
I was gonna say my mom was an anthropologist, so she always kind of talked to me about the beauty of being human on different parts of the planet, and every culture has its own way of commerce and codes and the way people treat each other, and so it's very crazy to me to just take the human element out of commerce. I don't, I
right.
just and and you see it so often. You see like emails intended to get you to buy, or like fake scarcity or fake sales, this fake urgency that's pumped out into the device that's in your hand all the time. Like I think people are tired of it. I for one am, but I talk to people all the time and they're, getting rid of their Prime accounts. They're getting rid of any urgency to go to a Walmart or Target, or, the one everyone holds on to is Costco, which is kind of funny. Um,
Well, I was just reading about Costco. They actually do a good job. They had a good
I like
story
Costco.
about him. He's even talking about now building stores with small apartment buildings for housing for his employees. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess he's kind of done it in a big way, but in a better way because he's
He's a cool CEO. I think what makes the Costco CEO so cool is that he always thinks of his customer first. He doesn't put the bottom line at the forefront of all of his thinking. He's almost like, if I do this thing for my customers, they'll appreciate it and shop more, which is a much softer way to get people into your store. And I think the consumer or customer in this, they're customers of Costco, not consumers, you know?
Right. Yeah, it was just a great story. Like you said, he thinks I guess the whole point of the story, the whole headline of the story was $1.50 hot dog. He never
Yep.
increased the price, was because he just said the customers really like it or they've just grown to, and everybody's like, that's just crazy. We gotta, but he stuck to his guns on that one thing and most other things about running the company, and it really blossomed into what it is today, Costco.
He's right. He's right. He doesn't look at as the people that shop in Costco as data points. He looks at them as people, and that is refreshing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really is, and it's something we really have lost here, especially in the States. I
Mhm.
adopted my kids from Thailand, and the consumer there is like street vendors, and the food
Yeah.
is great on the street. And everything's really neat. When you go somewhere else in the world, everything seems to be really neat, and it's only because it seems like it's a throwback to when you were a kid. Now
Yeah.
our kids will never remember those days because they're in this rut, but you're bringing it back in a way,
Mhm.
and in a good way, in a great way, because it's exactly. I remember. When I was a kid, there was this big department store, Maze, and
Yeah.
it it was huge. It was
Mhm.
giant, 5-story building. Well, ultimately, it went out of business. It became a flea market, and it became like that big store became hundreds of booths with a
Yeah.
game room in the bottom, and that was a fun place for us to be all the
Mhm.
time after school because we'd go look at all the jewelry and all the anchors with crosses on them and stuff, and we'd go look at all the T-shirts and we'd go play the games. It was really fun to be now I think I did talk to somebody from my when I grew up where they're still there. I'm not, but they said yeah, it's still there, and I think it's because people are drawn to that kind of consumerism where you're literally talking to a vendor.
Mhm.
And
I mean, it's one of my favorite when I think of some of the giggliest times with my mother or my sister or my best friend. It was kind of just tootling around the mall or going, you
right,
know, just kind of seeing what was out there. It had nothing to do with the act of actually shopping. It had to do more with just the experience of two people going around having commentary about what was going on around them. Um,
yeah,
and
people watching.
you see younger people have kind of lost those opportunities to be together and not be doing a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's different to go on like a stroll, but there's something nice about having a little stimulation of going, through the mall and having things that you're observing to talk about. I don't know. That's just the way I see it, and I hope, and I'm starting to see this shift, especially I'd say Gen Z. They're tired of being tethered to their phones. And I think that that's very cool.
That would be great. I read again because all I do is really read, and it's mostly the weirdest stuff out there that I read. But I read Google is paying Apple $15 billion a year just to be the Google search engine on all the 4 billion Apple devices that are
Oh my
being
God.
used 4 hours a day. So you take the 4 billion times 4 hours a day on an average, and hopefully we can reverse some of it. Because even sometimes my kids will just be sitting and eating and they're on their phone again. And it's like, can we just
Mhm.
stop that for this 30 minutes? That's
I
gonna,
know. And sometimes it's not the kids, it's us.
it's
We're
us
the
too. That's why I
problem.
can't demand things because
I know.
I just happen to notice them because I'm not doing it at the time. But it
Yeah,
could very well be me any minute. But
it's totally true.
I just think it's funny when I overreact to them and they're like thinking, that was just you 3 seconds ago. That's
Me
why.
too.
But But it's a great every time I talk to somebody on this podcast, it's not about all the negative. It's about all the positive going on.
Yeah.
It's really about all the positive that's going on, all the recognition about how we can go back to some of the positive or get back to what was positive. But
Yeah.
like media and news and Fox and CNN have developed this narrative that we're going to talk about the negative and we're going to focus on the negative. But really there's a lot of good going on.
Yeah, well, the audience for any kind of media, the currency is audience and viewership, and people's eyes go to the negative far more. It's just a sad thing about being human. It's another thing about being human, but humans have just they're drawn to the negative, and it's something that, we all have to kind of reassess for ourselves, like how much attention are we going to give the negative. And it's not a matter of saying like, oh, the we should ignore all the ills of the world. We absolutely should not do that, but I think we have to start re-examining, media for what it is, and start to appreciate like kind of the most beautiful things in life that are floating away. And I don't know, that's gotten a little bit, I don't want to get too preachy
No,
about
it's
it, but
not
I
at
but
all. No, no,
but
it's really wonderful that you say it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I just there's so many. Look, it's there. The world is unbelievable right now. I feel like every time I turn on the news or like look at my phone, I want to crumble into dust, you know. But then I put my phone down and I look at, this morning. And I'm in New Jersey. Like this week was the first week I really noticed that the birds, every single bird was chirping at the same time. And I was like, I got to start noticing these things more. Otherwise, my day will turn sour. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm trying really hard to just you know, I don't know what the word is. It's just kind of reframe my day and take those good things that are happening and really run with those instead of letting the negative kind of poison me.
Well, I think, I was talking to somebody, she's a candidate for school superintendent in Georgia, conservative
Mhm.
candidate. She was talking about in one state they started adopting a public Montessori school system, not just private, because generally it's private. And
Mhm.
I just love that idea because some kids are really creative and we need to
Yeah.
embrace that creativity and that
Yeah.
could reverse the cycle a little because we're really jamming a lot of the kids through our traditional K through 12 system,
Mhm.
education system, and they're getting lost in the whole system and then they're
Yeah.
growing up to be negative. Whereas if we identify those who are more creative and give them the better option for them, we might just get to a point where, just like you said, it's outdoors. They're embracing the
Mhm.
birds chirping, they're playing, they're learning. No
Yeah.
one's saying it's just a free for all. They're learning, but they're learning in a way that really cultivates their mind. And we're
I
not doing
agree.
that every child. We're really not. When somebody
Yeah.
coined the phrase "no child left behind," we're pretty much leaving every child behind at this point in time. We've pretty much gotten to the point where we're going to jam them through a system, and then they're going to pick left or right, and then they're going to stick to their guns because if they dare veer off to one side, their friends are going to say, "What happened to you?" And
Yeah.
then, but we need to change that. And being successful in business, not necessarily a billionaire, but
Yeah.
being very successful, having time with your family, having a staff you walk into and you love working with them. Bill Gates said that if you want to succeed, work with people you love to work with.
Yeah. He's
And
right.
yeah, absolutely. And and w- this is just what you do, how you do it, and the product you put out there. It's going to take shape. There's going to be more Kates, and there's going to be more
Hope so.
dips.
I,
Absolutely.
I I hope that there are more companies and more brands that start to um, recoil at the thought of putting their products everywhere, and instead deliberately get people back into Main Street shopping. It's just so important for the health of your community. It's so important for just getting outside. It's so important for just having a place for teenagers to learn to work in these entry jobs. Like there's a lot of stores where teenagers, that's where they really get their first sense of work. And the more they collapse, like the less opportunities there are. And I think it's I don't know, it's just I've always been attached to, and it might just be my age because I'm in my 40s and I grew up with the Richard Scarry books, Busy, Busy Town. I always thought that like that's how life was going to be. There was going to be like the candy store. There was going to be like the grocery store, the bookstore, and you start to see all of those things close. And I would, if I started to see everything in my town close, I would panic. I would feel a certain loss of that.
I agree totally. I agree. I have seen most everything in in every town I've ever lived in pretty much
Mhm.
changed dramatically in a big way.
Yeah.
Now we start seeing lots, like you said, malls are being repurposed into housing because, and that
Mhm.
was a fun part of our day was to spend the
Yeah.
take the bus, spend the day in the mall, eat in the food court, spend the rest of the day in the mall, and that's sort of gone away,
Yeah.
and it was a big fun part of our it was a big fun part of our entire summer. Sometimes we would do it 3 days a week if we could, if we had the
Yeah.
bus money to do it, and that's it's really, but the important thing is when you think of it from Kate's point of view is you have this amazing business, but you don't want to be the next Jeff Bezos. That leaves a
Yeah.
lot of room for lots of people to do just what you're doing. So that could change the dynamic right there. If you
Yeah.
took Amazon and you cut it into $5 million segments, what would you have? You'd have about 100,000 successful people or more. Successful or
Even more.
probably, yeah, I'm not really good at math. I took a stab at that and I said, no, it's like Austin Powers. No, that's
I
not a
was
lot of
panicking
money.
for you.
I needed that panic. I saw it in your eyes, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna spit it out and fail miserably. I have
With
no idea.
$1 million.
That was the Austin Powers. $1 million. Oh, that's not a lot of money anymore. Oh yeah, I'm stuck now. It's even on the podcast. It's out there forever. It might be the one thing that gives this podcast some more traction. I don't know. Anyway, I was just like, I can't do this. But it's true though. If more people thought like, hey, I just want this I want business success. Absolutely. Everybody wants a nice home. Nobody wants to get in a car that doesn't start. I got it. I got the
Yeah.
memos. Believe me. But it also doesn't mean I need to be Jay Leno and have 64 cars in my garage, and then say, "Oh, this is really cool," and never go downstairs to look in the garage again because there's just gotten boring. It's like it's just flown somewhere. It's not even better for a $200 plane ticket. But um. But this is great. And this is what's going to change everything is this kind of is what you're doing, this kind of discussion, because we really are at a precipice where things do need to change.
Yeah,
And I've even
absolutely.
said college loans should be an option of is it for college or is it for starting a small business? I would love to see that because I would love to
Yeah.
see more young people starting their small business rather than spending a lot of time in college in the traditional mole, than trying to get a job in corporate America and realizing every one of their peers have done the same and you're competing against everyone. So now it's a personality contest. No longer is it a fact that you've got the credentials.
Yeah.
And and yeah, this is just great. But I really this is we have great conversations and I don't want to I kind of I'm still reflecting on the moment of me trying to do math and I'm thinking, boy, I wish I could edit that part out, but I won't.
No,
I'll
it's
leave it, I
great.
promise.
No, I was trying to do it too, and I was like, oh, thank God he's going to answer.
No, I didn't answer. I just spitballed anything out. I have no idea what the figure is and I'm that was really good of me to try. I just said, I'm just going to throw it out there. But so what's your next step? Are you going to stay on this course? Do you think you're going to ever get to, like you said, you got 7 people. You walk in that door, there's 7 people you love to work with. You love to say hi to them. You love to chit chat with them, and
Yeah.
that's a great. Are you ever going to? Is it going to grow some more?
Yeah, I think the way it grows is that if more small store owners embrace it and bring it onto their shelves, it's more places for it to sell. And so I think it can grow like kind of laterally in that way. And I don't really need to keep pumping out new products, pumping it like I will eventually launch new things. But as it stands right now, it's a company that has, steady growth. It pays my employees really well, and I'm able to spend time with my family. So I don't know how much I want to disrupt that. Um, and maybe like I don't think there's any shame in having just a normal size business. Like it just doesn't have to be in every household or, I don't need to be the next Pantene. I don't need Dip to be the next Pantene. But if it really changes someone's shopping habits or really gets them aware of the plastic crisis in a way that doesn't make them feel guilt and makes them feel kind of like they're part of a, plastic-free party instead of like this community that gets people to save the environment through the lens of shame, that is a win for me. It's a win for me for people to find joy in the products, find joy in the shopping for them, and for the wealth to be shared with the 500 stores and salons where we sell dip.
Yeah, and you're just so let's just clarify now. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dip store. You're selling to salons as well. You're selling to
Yeah.
existing businesses,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm selling to existing businesses. So what, what I do is once a business, puts dip on their shelves, I do what I can to draw attention to that. And if someone goes to the website or abandons their cart, immediately they get an email that says like, "Hey, we're glad you abandoned your cart. You should really go," like it sends the store locator, and the store locator will pull up the store or salon closest to them that has dip. So it's like, yeah, go check it out in person. Like that's what we want anyway. Like I'd rather
Right.
someone buy, and it's counterintuitive because I make much less margin or much less money when someone buys on our in a store instead of on our site. But it's very important to me that we reinvigorate Main Street shopping, and that's the only way I know how to do it.
That's great. And it could very well be the next Pantene when you look at it from that aspect. But
Yeah,
it's not a
maybe.
concern. It's not a concern, but
It's
it is
not it's not the goal. The goal is
right.
to get people thinking about plastic. Like that's my goal more than anything. I just know that hair for most women is very, very emotional. And that is the thing. And they're very surprised that how well dip works. Like I actually keep my old shampoo and conditioner that was like very luxury salon stuff. I keep it in my shower. And when I was developing dip, I would not stop developing and changing the formula until I went for the dip bar instead of that expensive salon stuff every time. So I made sure it was really, really good. And it also just saves people money because if you're used to buying really expensive hair care, the dip bar can save, like the dip conditioner bar alone, just that one conditioner bar can save someone over 500 bucks a year if they're buying very expensive hair care.
So I'm going on the zip locator right after we get off this
Okay.
conversation, and I'm going to find that stuff. Actually, I don't really need it, but I'm going to buy it for my wife because
Okay.
I don't think anything can be done with this gray goatee. But
I'll send you some. We have some men, 30% of our customers are men. So we have body wash. We have other things too. So I'll send you some.
oh yeah, well I'm going to go on the dip locator too. And I'm going to find some stuff. I'm going to find
Okay.
one because I'm sure there's one out here because this whole area I live in seems to everything gravitates this way for sure. I mean, we have a
Where
Lexus.
are you
I'm
exactly?
in Claremont, Florida, but we literally have a Tesla dealer, which is not normal for every community. I don't know why, but people seem to open their businesses. They just opened a Costco here, but
Man.
so there's going to be a dip store somewhere in this. Claremont's like North Florida, like heading towards Ocala, but not
Okay.
nowhere near that far north.
Okay, cool.
But but this has been a great conversation. I was so glad to see you wanted back on. I was like, heck yeah. And then I threw out some options and then you picked one. I was like, no, I gave that one away. And then I was like, but you came right back with another one. I'm like, yes. I was like, because I probably would have switched the other one. I would have said, no, no, let me see what I could do. But you came right back and gave me another option. I was like, okay, we'll keep it like it is. So this has been great. So do you want to do one more talk about how to get to dip and the
Sure.
dip locator and all that because that's really why we're here because you've done an
Yeah.
incredible job and this kind of thing is gonna change the world back to some of what we used to know it to be and it was a lot funner way back when.
It was so fun. So if you're looking for dip, you go to dipalready.com and you'll see store locator. It's front and center in the header. And then you just go in there and you find the store closest to you, and you don't have to trust me that it's good. You can go and ask someone who's tried it that is not me. Or you can go on Instagram or TikTok. We're at Dip Already.
Got it. Got it. I've got it already. So I'm gonna put that out on the this has been great, Kate. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
So
having me.
oh absolutely. I want to have you back at least in a couple of 2 months or so if that's an
Yeah,
option. I'll stay in touch
I'm
for sure.
I'm always game. It would be
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, this was fun. Even watching me do math was really fun. So that was fabulous. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that one over and over again later. Well, thank you, Kate Assaraf, the CEO founder of Dip and the Mompreneur of the Year, a Forbes Council member. I love this. I
Yeah.
love it. That's great. That you, like you said, you have time to be with your family and time to run your business and time to change the world, and
Yeah.
that's really cool.
I just want people to know it's not impossible. And I want them to know that, it took me a long time to get to the point where I could prove it. Like I wanted to be able to prove that this kind of business could be profitable, it could be successful, and it doesn't have to be put in big box in Amazon like that. But I couldn't talk about it in the beginning, but now I've proven it, and now it's I want people to know that they don't have to put themselves in these high pressure, work around the clock situations to have a beautiful business.
And like it's real not been a long time because you're not even 40 yet. And you told me
No,
I'm
I
not
am.
guessing.
I'm 40. Yeah, I'm 42.
That's not a long time because most people are measured by the time they're 60 is what they've actually accomplished. So I still have 2 years. So I still have 2 years to get measured, but that's okay. But that is not, you've done an incredible job. Like you said, you were also a corporate killer in the beginning. So, I mean, you've started at a young age to be where you are today.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's great. Thank you so much, Kate. We're going to talk soon. Thanks. Kate
Yeah, thank you
Assaraf
so
with
much.
Dip. My pleasure. Good to see you.
Yeah, you
Bye,
get
Kate.
likewise. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.